cool feather.
I'm glad you like it.
Hello, and welcome to another amazing episode of Lotus Arising. We are arising our tea. We're here with Thor Stankfoot. How's it going?
Good afternoon. I'm Thor Stankfoot. It's nice to be here.
Awesome
Thank you.
to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It means a lot.
If you want to just introduce yourself, let us know who you are.
I'm Thor Stankfoot. I traveled around the country for a long time. I do construction. I do, odd jobs here and there. My preferred line of work is clear my throat here.
It's more tea. Or Lotus wine, whichever you prefer.
Lotus wine, my favorite wine. I'm just an entrepreneur. I enjoy sewing, creating things, building things. I have a very passionate love for sewing machines and music things and all things musical. I just enjoying things, seeing beauty in things, finding beauty in things that most people wouldn't see beautiful if, someone didn't see the beauty in them first.
That's awesome. Very nice. How long have you been traveling?
I'd say roughly around 4 years solid for the past 4 years. But off and on, around 14 years. I started traveling around my home state when I was 11. Just, school didn't work out, so it's like, I'd rather just go do my own thing, just find work for a while, stay somewhere, and hey, what's this place like? And then onward and onward,
How many states have you traveled to?
I've been to 46 states in the mainland of the U.S. I've been to Canada, I've been to Mexico. My dog's been to 43 states since Christmas.
Can we get a glimpse of
Yeah, he's sleeping. But I'll get him up.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
This is my best friend and traveling companion. My little bro, Low Key.
Low Key, and how did he get the name Low Key?
Mostly he just chills, and I love music, and most of the time the best way to get him to sleep is to put on some music, in a low key.
He is a very beautiful dog.
Oh man, it's my favorite dog. Hey Loki, can you chill?
Now he wants a lot more love.
Oh man, now he's the star of the show. Okay. He's taking over.
And how long have you been a luthier?
I've always loved building and music and guitars. I built my first guitar when I was 10 out of just scrap parts that a buddy had laying around after I seen a video of Eddie Van Halen. I was a big Van Halen fan as a kid, and I heard the story of how he built his guitar, the Frankenstein that he played on like all the early Van Halen albums, and it was just cool and inspiring, because he said that he couldn't find the sound that he wanted out of traditional everyday instruments, so he decided to take parts of all of his favorite ones and make what he wanted. So I guess that's really what inspired me. I would say Eddie Van Halen's Frankenstein.
That's very special. And what types of places have you worked at? Like, have you worked in any musical atmospheres?
My very first job, I guess you could say, was at a music store when I was around 11 or 12. I was just a kid that hung around all the time and just looked at everything, And then eventually the guy's like, hey man, you want to hang out and earn some cash? It was at a place called the Picking Parlor Music Company in my hometown of Kingston, Georgia. I worked there from the ages of 12 to 15. Around the time I was 13, I talked to my boss about opening a skate shop because all my friends like to skateboard, and that's how we'd spend our summers. And then around 15 is when I left and moved away, but it was a great time. I learned a lot, and it's probably one of the happiest jobs I've ever had.
I know you're into music, and you like a lot of different types of music, and you play a lot of different instruments, and I'm just curious as to if this is something like in genetics, or was this in your household growing up? Did you have family that played music?
I did. I was raised by my great grandparents, and every morning when I'd wake up, they'd be in the kitchen making coffee and breakfast and singing songs about you better get up and go to school. You gotta learn something today. So, like my grandparents were kind of my alarm clock, you know. And it wasn't like traditional songs. It was like, get up and go to school, get up and go to school, get up and go to school, and don't be a fool. So
the jazzy, bluesy, soulful, I don't mind as long as there's toast and coffee.
Hey man, we'd have scrambled eggs and bacon every morning, you know, and then I'd get on the bus with the song stuck in my head all day. It was beautiful. I loved it.
That's amazing. It's incredible to me that you just do so many things and just a variety of a lot of different things. It's not just like you only play music, or you also make guitars, you build guitars, but then you're also into making jewelry and wire wrap jewelry. What inspires you to make wire wrap jewelry?
From a very young age, I've always loved beautifully made jewelry, you know. Like, I would have necklaces that would break, you know, and I'm like, this could be better. Especially from, like, other countries and cultures, you know. I think it's...
Different metals?
Yeah, different metals and different ways of making things. Like, I think the making of, you know, say chains or jewelry or necklaces or bracelet, like, different countries and different cultures and different techniques, you know. Like, as far as chains, I love Cuban chains. Like, no one makes chains like the Cubans, you know.
How long have you been making jewelry, wire wrap jewelry, or any type of jewelry?
I started making necklaces and bracelets for, like, my grandma out of just random things I'd find laying around, and she loved them. Like, she thought they were the most beautiful thing ever. So I'd say I began wire wrapping actually around 2015, you know, just like beautiful rocks or stones I'd find in places that inspired me, you know, places I thought were beautiful, or maybe things weren't the greatest, but I was just glad to be there and just trying really hard to see the beauty in the place. And I'd find a rock and be like, hey, this is a beautiful rock. I'm just gonna make something cool out of it.
Have you found a lot of different pieces of stones or anything that you've used in creating your jewelry in different states?
Oh, yeah. Most of the stones and rocks and crystals and stuff I found, I didn't buy them. I just found them, you know, say I'd be walking my dog through the redwood forest in Oregon, and I'd look down and my dog would be chewing on a rock, and I'd be like, hey, give me that. I'm gonna make something out of this. A lot of the ones I usually wear every day, I found just walking around with my dog in some state, some desert, some forest, or somewhere.
I find it incredible how you could just pick up a feather and grab a few wires and maybe add some different colored wires to it, yeah, and create something so incredibly unique.
Oh, you're talking about the feather.
There's a piece right here, and everyone can take a look at it. I think it's amazing what you do.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot to me.
And do you have plans with like creating more, or I know you're into like sewing and making patches.
Oh yeah. As far as sewing goes, I made a pillow with my grandmother out of one of my favorite T-shirts, because she told me she had to throw it away, and I was so sad because it was like my favorite shirt, and even though it was worn and raggedy, I just wanted it forever. So we made a pillow out of it when I was 8. I just fell in love with the sewing machines, and I kind of became a self-proclaimed destructive seamstress around the age of 10. My grandma spent a lot of money on a pair of Levi's for me, and then a pair of Wranglers, and I just cut them in half and sewed them together and was like, yeah, these are the coolest pants. She wasn't enthused, but I loved it. And for the future, I'd actually, at some point, I'd love to set up and just create, and possibly do commissions and have like an online store, you know, where people can just be like, hey, I want this, or
custom made,
yeah,
whatever.
or, you know, just give me ideas, like I want something like that, but with some of this, and, you know, I mean, I would definitely love to work with people and make things happen, you know.
And you've done this type of custom work before, especially in your Luthier work, where you have
Oh yeah.
specifically purchased certain parts for guitars from friends that you've known, and even I think like some pretty well-known people out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big shout out to BC Rich Guitars, and most importantly the BC Rich Junkies. One of my best friends, Dave Cohen, got a bunch of them, but shout out to Dave Cohen. He's like, as far as BC Rich Guitars go, he's like the most inspiring and beautiful and loving person. Like, he just bleeds BC Rich, you know. It's been his life for a long time, and it still is to this day. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know, I probably would have lost my passion a long time ago.
Honestly, I feel like we need a drink in his honor, and shout out to him. Cheers.
This one's for you, Dave Cohen.
For Dave.
BC Rich Junkies for life, bro. Love you, man.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's all extremely inspiring where it's going, where it's been, to see the progress and to know that more and more people are getting involved and wanting to know about what you do. I mean,
Yeah, it's
changes who you are.
Yeah, I never would have expected it. Like, I never expected anyone to be interested in like things I do or learning about them or the inspiration or the creating process. You know, it was just always something I just did because I liked it and it made me feel good. You know, like to make things, and hopefully someday someone will see the beauty in this. You know,
That's the humbleness and being an artist and just creating and loving what you do and having so much passion and soul into it. It's not about ego or pride or any of those things. It's just about doing something that you love and continuing to do it over and over again, because maybe every time you created something different, you put a little piece of your soul into that in a different aspect.
Oh yeah, I try to make it a point to put a little flavor of myself into everything I create. You know, like maybe someone does something a certain way, you know, and I do it entirely different. You know, I mean, I believe that's the beauty of creating things. You know, because like not everything's always done exactly the same by every person who does it. You know, and I don't know, I kind of go off the beaten path and as much as I can, you know.
It's beautiful, beautiful, beautifully put. Love it all. I'm excited for your new work that's coming, and just to see the progress and to hear you continue creating more music.
Oh yeah.
How long have you been playing guitar?
I got my first guitar when I was around 6. I didn't really know how to play it. I just carried it around because my grandparents always, you know, had instruments and guitars laying around, and I would always get them to play it because they were so much better than me, and I just loved hearing them make music together. I started playing, like learning to play and trying to learn and teach myself when I was around, say 10 or 11. I just really wanted to be the next Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins, just because I always loved his tone and his music and like the meaning in the lyrics, and I just felt it, you know. So I would say 10 or 11. Shout out Billy Corgan.
And are you inspired and motivated to continue? Would you like to keep writing music?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't say I sit down with pen and paper every day and write, but like
You have your process.
yeah, I have ideas and they just stay in my head until eventually I do write them down, you know. And I'm always flipping through notebooks and coming back upon things that I've written before, like, hey, this would sound good. Hey, this idea, you know. So always adding and writing and trying to grow things I've written previously. I definitely love doing it, and I don't think I could ever stop even if I wanted to. So yeah, definitely writing more.
Do you feel like your playing and just your energy inspires people to change their mood?
I would say so. I did a lot of busking on my travels, and you know, just random things or different renditions of songs you never would have thought of. Originally, I thought I was into like punk and grunge, and I always thought, you know, this is what I'm gonna play forever. And then I don't know, I branched out into like metal and classic rock and reggae and jazz and soul and bluegrass, folk music. I love it all. And everyone always asks me, what kind of music do you make? And I'm like, the kind you hear, man.
The universal sound of healing.
You just hear it, man. It's just music. I can't really put a label on it. Like,
can we do another cheers? I'm sorry, but that amen to that cheers to it's just music. Yes, I love that.
I just see so much beauty in every type of music, you know. And if it sounds good and I feel it, then why not, you know?
I love it. All the positivity, all the humbleness, everything. It's amazing. So tell everybody where they can find you on social media if they're interested in contacting you for possibly jewelry or custom wire wrap or guitar parts or anything like that.
I sometimes I'm on Instagram. I try to post regularly. I don't always keep up with it, but my Instagram is Thor.lowkey. So, just Thor, like the thunder god, and low key, with a period between.
And do you have Facebook or anything?
Yeah, I use Facebook every now and then. My name on Facebook is Thor Stankfoot. Feel free. I try to reach out and get back to people. It's not always easy to keep up with, but I try. And if you message me, at some point, I will message you back. I can't say the same day or within 10 minutes, but I will.
Awesome. Can you hand me that thermo over there so we can just pour ourselves up a little? Okay, because we definitely have to get some tea here.
Oh yeah, tea time is always important.
We can't have Lotus arising without our tea.
Tea time.
And we cannot arise to the next level of higher consciousness without our tea. So, cheers to our evolution and our growth and our spiritual conscious awakening and just being aligned and balanced. And thank you to the Egyptians for discovering Lotus. We are grateful.
To building, to growing, to moving forward, to striving and always prospering, to achieve beautiful things with beautiful people. It's a beautiful journey, and Lotus is my favorite tea.
Cheers. Cheers, everyone. Thank
Cheers.
you so much for being here. Until next time on Lotus Arising. We've risen.